MAGA media is running from the disaster that they created, and they don't know how to fix it. As protests grow around Delaney Hall, the right-wingers are struggling to defend this madness. If only there was a solution to the death squad masquerading as a national security requirement. Oh wait. Instead, MAGA would rather antagonize protesters and then piss and cry on camera for all of us to laugh at.
No, we gotta go. Time to go. You told rapists protecting beaters on shit! Fuck off!
The big baby's running away from a fight that he started. The new meta for these swarmy MAGA influencers these days is to just pull a hit and run. They can't even handle the pressure of being on in an echo chamber like Fox News, let alone confronting us in the real world. If you don't know Cam Higbee, the guy from that last video, just watch as he chokes on his own words here. It is hilarious. It's like a bit from a sketch show.
The problem is that their plan is essentially to spread this propaganda throughout the internet by using sorry guys.
All right, let's go to RA's Cam. Get yourself together there, my friend.
MAGA's best mind at work, folks. These are the people showing up in person to defend ICE's actions. And it's more than just them at this point, now that Cheryl is sending in the state police and it's clear which side they're on. There is no defending the conditions and the actions that ICE is subjecting these detainees to. And we don't have to guess how cruel they're being. We can see how they treat reporters.
Everybody want to come on! Come on! Don't have the fucking decency!
Please say that!
Nah, don't give them that. Don't give them that. That's the least they can do.
And you know why this shit isn't changing? Because they don't want it to change, not the Republicans nor the Democrats, really. That might sound harsh, but look at what they're doing. Either being ineffective in protecting us or actively harming us. Like for some reason, centrist Democrats are being swayed by the sound of conservatives whose bad takes are just dripping with disdain.
I would urge Democrats, if indeed the governors around the country believe there's something inhumane, something illegal happening in these detention centers, the Democratic governors ought to all come together, fly to Washington, go to the White House, stand outside the White House and say, we would love a meeting with the president. Here's what we want. Can you give us access to these centers? We can go through and have the Rosannas and others walk through with cameras so we can see how people are being treated, what the conditions are, and remind people that President Obama, that place was open during the Obama administration. If there's something illegal going on here, we should get to the bottom of it.
They have already done that. Begging tyrant King Trump for access to the ICE concentration camps was the first thing that the baby-soft Democrats did. And as we all saw, that didn't do a damn thing. The GOP, very unsurprisingly, just said no, fuck off. And then the Democrats did. Until these new protests started up, and then what did the centrist Democrat darling Mikey Cheryl do? She used the sword of the police to cut the protesters instead of ICE, who are the ones actually breaking the law. You can hear the fiery betrayal in the voice of the Newark mayor when he slammed her actions.
Look, the state police is a sword. If you're gonna use them, you have to expect people to get cut, and those are the thinking that has to go into this. And I just think that we going forward have to have larger discussions about tactics on the ground. The local authorities, our public safety director has to be involved in every decision going forward in our city.
It's almost as if the Democratic establishment has a vested interest in keeping ICE intact and operational. even as progressives and anyone with a heart can see that this is institutional slavery and completely beyond the pale. So much so that even Trump is quietly backing down on his promise to deport every brown person in America. We're hearing a very different kind of language coming out of the DHS that we have never heard before. They're discussing potentially offloading assets acquired by Kristi Noem during her tenure in support of Trump's mass deportation policy. Now, Trump has said he wants a softer touch. Ew, I don't want him to touch me at all, because the public has soured on ICE after the shooting of Renee Good and Alex Preddy. The DHS said ICE no longer needs the capacity to hold 100,000 immigrants. They are being so quiet about selling these detention centers, no doubt trying to fill them with data centers instead. But this tail tucking likely explains why Markwayne Mullin is distracting everyone with this airport bullshit. Trump loves a distraction, and he knows that if they do something outrageous, then they might be able to keep the MAGA morons happy, and they won't notice that the immigration plan that they were all promised is completely falling apart. If you listen to the Democrats in office, they're describing Mullin as some sort of simpleton who's just naive and he doesn't know that this is a bad idea. The idea that this is only going to hurt blue people in blue cities is shockingly naive. It's either shockingly naive or dumb. Or it's a secret third thing, malicious distraction making, trying to trigger the libs and explain why Mullin is too busy to deport construction workers anymore. They want MAGA to love ICE so that when they label rising progressives as existential threats to the agency that they love, it'll feel like we're coming for them too. You can tell that's the strategy by the illogical but emotionally charged way that they talk about progressives.
I mean, we can just zero in on some of the policies that Plattner is running on. I was taking a look at them. He stands for, not a surprise here, abolishing ICE. He wants large increases on taxes for billionaires and corporations, which we know that's a big problem, Marcus. He wants to expand federal housing programs as a solution to the home crisis that we have ongoing. And he wants to reduce military spending. And those are just some of the top line items.
They're terrified. And you know, they're right to be scared because democratic socialism is an existential threat to ICE. If you agree, you should subscribe because it's about time that we stop tiptoeing around on whether or not ICE has a right to exist. It doesn't. It's not required for public safety. In fact, it's a brutal, violent arm of the right-wing fascist state. And as Graham Plattner passionately puts it here, it must go.
ICE is murdering American citizens, beating and kidnapping people who are in this country legally, creating databases of activists and labeling them as domestic terrorists. It is daily smashing the First and Fourth Amendments and with no material consequence. And yet we watch leaders and structures of power fail to comprehend the moment in history we are actually in. But you know who isn't failing to comprehend it? Us. And this is where my anger turns to hope. We understand that it isn't courts who are keeping people from being ripped out of their homes in the arms of their loved ones. It is communities. Community rapid response teams, volunteer reporting networks, mutual aid networks, organizers, and activists who are rising to their moment in history.
Protesting and community organizing scares the ever-living shit out of fascists, because when we come together, we're finally powerful enough to defeat them.